Good morning, guys. In the previous class, we discussed about our major project. What is our project? How to use our project? What are the plans available in the project? What are the modules available in the project? And what is the purpose of each module that we have discussed? So yesterday I have seen some people are not able to explain the project. So even if you are going for experienced interview, if you are not able to explain the project, that is first question, how they will take your interview. They will not consider you as an experienced candidate if you are not able to explain the project properly. Confidence is very important. You should not get stuck in the middle when explaining the project. If you get stuck in the middle, they will understand that you are fake. So you need to practice multiple times to explain the project architecture. You should not take any break when you are explaining the project. Got my point? So that perfection, that confidence is very important. Okay. Yesterday interview kya hua? What happened? हाँ, इंटरव्यू नहीं लिए. Okay, they did not conduct the interview also. क्या कंपनी यार? हाँ, only our institute, other institute people also came. Only our institute people. I will talk to that. We should not go to that company. So they only called and they requested, please send the candidates. We have sent the people, they are not treating them properly. Faltu company. Why? Fine, leave it. Direct interview for who? For 5 people, direct interview. Who are those 5? You, these 2 people, anyone? Ravali, direct interview again. Okay. Okay. Okay, so you people selected first round, waiting for the second round. Okay. Second round also completed. Written test and technical round completed. Direct interview completed. Second round completed. They are going to call you for third round. What questions they have asked? Repeated. What are those questions? What is Pojo class? Okay. What is Pojo? Huh. Next. Difference between local and instance variables. Okay. What is this and super keywords? What are this and super keywords? Next. Same questions, repeated questions only. Okay. You also selected in that round. So they will call you for the next round. Okay, fine. What is Pojo? Plain old Java object, which will not extend from any third-party classes or any framework classes. Local variables declared inside the method or inside the constructor, they are called local. Instance variables, nothing but global variables declared at the class level. When the method or constructor executed, then only memory will be allocated for the local variable. When the object is created, memory will be allocated for instance variable. This keyword is used to refer current class object. Super is used to refer parent class object. Very basic questions these. Difference between error and exception. Exception versus error. Exception that we can catch and we can handle. Error we cannot handle. Right. So for error, the example, Stack Overflow error. For exception, arithmetic exception, null pointer exception, SQL exception. Exceptions we can catch, whereas errors we cannot catch. Right. Exception handling, you try, catch, throw, throws, finally, sorry. Keywords available in the exception handling. Keywords to handle exceptions. Keywords to handle exceptions in Java. 5 keywords available. try, catch, throw, throws, finally, right? Huh? Annotations. Annotations available in the Java. I think we have already written that question. Na? Okay. What are the annotations available in the Java? That is already written. What are the annotations available in Java? REST API annotations, get mapping, post mapping, REST controller, request body, path variable, request param. Those are the REST API annotations. Sorry? Array versus array list. Array is fixed in nature. Array list is growable in nature. It is used to store homogeneous values. It can store homogeneous and heterogeneous values also. The default size of array list is 10. Once it reaches to max capacity, it will double the size of the array list. Right. Multi-threading. What is multi-threading? It is used to execute multiple parts of the program parallelly to complete the task quickly. Instead of executing a project with one thread, we can execute the project with multiple threads so that performance of the application will be faster. We can complete more work in the less time by using this multi-threading concept. How to achieve synchronization? How to achieve synchronization? Either by using synchronized method or by using synchronized block. Synchronization means achieving thread safety, allowing only one thread to execute the logic at a time. Once first thread is completed, then only second thread should come into picture for the execution. We can achieve synchronization in two ways. One is by using method level synchronization. Second one is block level synchronization, right? Synchronized keyword we can use at method level or we can use at the block level. That already we have written. Difference between throw and throws keywords. Yeah, here I have already covered that. List out some unchecked exceptions. List out some unchecked exceptions. Array index out of bound exception, null pointer exception. These are unchecked exceptions, right? Checked versus unchecked exception. We have already written that, I think so. Based on the reflection API, Lombok will internally uses how Lombok will generate setters and getters. Lombok will use reflection API internally to identify what are the variables available. For those variables, it is going to provide setters and getters based on @ data annotation, right? Okay. First, JVM will not come into picture in the compile time. Only Java compiler will come. JVM will not know about that. Runtime or compile time? Compile time, there is no JVM. Java compiler will identify syntax is correct or not. JVM will come into picture only in the runtime. Compiler. How compiler will verify? Compile time exception. Syntax. So JVM, Java compiler knows syntaxes of the Java. When your code is trying to compile source code, it will compile line by line, right? It will verify syntax is correct with the Java syntaxes or not. So it will verify the syntax. Internally, that compiler have the program with all the Java syntaxes. If our program syntaxes are not matching with the Java syntaxes, then it will give the exception. That is compile time exception. What is collection? Collection is a collection. So here, three things are available, guys. So we should be careful. Collections framework versus collection interface versus collections class. Collections framework is available. Collection interface is available. Collections class is available. Collections framework provided set of classes and interfaces to deal with the set of objects like list, map, queue, set is available. Collection is a predefined interface which is having list, set, queue as sub interfaces. Collections is a predefined class. It provided several static methods, collections.sort method, collections.count method. There are several predefined methods available in the collections class. Those are utility methods. This is class, this is interface, and this is a framework. Framework nothing but set of classes and interfaces. So you need to know the clear difference between these three concepts: collections framework, collection interface, collections class. Right. What is REST API? REST API is used to develop distributed applications. So if you want to develop B2B related applications, then you need to go for REST API. If one application wants to communicate with another application, then we will go for REST API. REST API will exchange the data by using JSON data. When they ask you about the REST API, you need to explain what is a provider, what is consumer, what is REST controller, and what is REST template, how provider will communicate, how consumer will communicate with the provider, what is the Swagger documentation, what is HTTP protocol, what is request body, what is response body. You can explain 10 minutes about the REST API. Whatever we learned in the REST API, if you explain that completely, definitely they will impress. REST API is used to develop B2B application. In the REST API, two actors will be available. One is called as provider, second one is called as consumer. Provider is responsible to provide the services to other application. To develop a provider, we will go for REST controller. Whenever we go for REST controller, it is equal to controller plus response body. Whatever the method we write in the REST controller, it will provide the direct response to the client. In the REST controller, we can write the methods and we need to map the methods to HTTP protocol, get mapping, post mapping, put mapping, delete mapping. Get mapping is used to get the data. Post mapping is used to send the data. Put is used to update the data. Delete is used to delete the data. Request param, path param, and request body. If you want to send the data in the URL, either you can go for query parameter or path parameter. Query parameter will represent the data in the key value format. Path parameter will represent the data directly. To read the data from the query parameter, request param annotation. To read the data from path parameter, path variable. To read the data from the request body annotation. And when we are returning the response, we will go for response entity class. By using that, we can customize status codes in the response, right? And we will develop a consumer. To develop the consumer, we need to know the information of the provider. To know the information of the provider, we should write the Swagger documentation. By using Swagger VUI, we can test the API. To consume the REST API, we have three approaches: REST client, REST template, web client, PN client. REST template is synchronized. Web client supports synchronization and asynchronization. PN client is used for inter-service communication. One question, half an hour we can talk. If they ask you what is REST API, if anybody asks me what is REST API, you can take rest for 30 minutes. I will explain. 30 minutes I can talk about the REST API. Whatever we have learned for 20 days in the REST API, you can answer everything for that single question. Then they will understand how strong you are in the REST API development. That will give very good impression for the interviewer. If you say REST API is used to develop a distributed application, they will not satisfy. We should never give single line answers in the interview. What you answered for that question? Did you answer whatever I have explained? No. No. What you answered for that question? Single line. REST API is used to develop distributed application. That's it. When they ask any question, guys, suppose if they ask you how Lombok will work, you need to explain complete story. Lombok is a third-party API which is used to avoid boilerplate code. If you want to use the Lombok, first we need to install that in the IDE. Then we need to add the dependency. In the Lombok, there are several annotations available. getter setter, hash code equals annotation, no aux constructor, all aux constructor, toString annotation, data is available. Data is a high level annotation which is equal to all the annotations in the Lombok. Whenever we use the Lombok annotation, internally it will use the reflection API to identify what are the variables available. For those variables, it will generate setter, getter, toString equals a hash code constructor also. So when they ask some question, never give single line answer. At least you should be able to talk about that for 2 to 3 minutes of time. If somebody asks you, list out some unchecked exceptions in the Java. Unchecked exceptions means which will occur directly in the runtime. So you can say that exception is an unwanted situation, unexpected situation which will occur. In the Java, we have two types of exceptions, checked exception, unchecked exception. If exception identified by the compiler, that is called checked exception. If exception identified by the JVM in the runtime, unchecked exception. While I am developing the projects, several times I have faced a null pointer exception, arithmetic exception, array index out of bound exception. These are the examples for unchecked exceptions. So you need to give the answer, lengthy answers, not one line answers. We should never give in the interview. If somebody asks you, what is the difference between string buffer and string builder? Most of the people will say buffer is a thread safe, builder is not thread safe. That is not sufficient for the interview. That is not sufficient for the interview. Buffer and builder are mutable classes. That means we can modify content of those objects. Buffer is a thread safe. Only one thread can access at a time. So when you use the buffer in the web application, multiple users will be accessing our application, then performance will go down. In that scenario, we need to go for string builder. String builder is a mutable, whereas it is not thread safe. Multiple threads can access at a time. In our application, we are using string builder while sending the email. Email body, we are reading from the file. So that email body is a static content. We are reading that from the file. We are modifying that file content by using builder object. For every question, you need to give the answer and you need to tell situation where you have used that. You need to tell the situation where you have used that concept in your project. So that is most important. These all are very basic questions they have asked, because you are attending the interview as a fresher. When you go for the experienced interview, the depth of the interview will be very tough. So don't expect that. In the experienced interview, they will ask what is REST API, what is synchronization, what is multi-threading. These are fresher level questions. In the experienced interview, for everything they will ask a scenario where you have used multi-threading in your project. Where you have used multi-threading in your project. How you have handled exceptions in your project. Why you have created user-defined exception. How many user-defined exceptions you have created in your project. Where you have faced a deadlock in your project. Can you tell me how to prevent a deadlock? Can you tell me a program which will give the deadlock? Can you write the program which will give the deadlock? What is the race condition in the Java? So the experienced interview will be very tough when compared with the fresher interview. Whatever the 50 questions that we have noted down, these all are fresher level. All are fresher level. The way that you need to answer, that process has to change, guys. So now you asked a question, what is REST API? What answer I have given? Complete REST API discussion I have done. So in the interview, if you do like that, then they will impress. That impression is very important to get the positive feedback from the person. Right. What is object wrapper class? What are the predefined methods in the object class? One real-time example of object. What is access specifier and difference between access modifier and access specifier? Difference between access modifier and access specifier. What is access specifier? What is access specifier, guys? Access specifiers and access modifiers in the Java. So here we are going to use, let me go for this. For example, I have a class. If I make this class as a private, then what it is saying, guys? Illegal modifier for the class. Illegal modifier for the class. So can I call private, public, default or access modifiers? Can I call them as access modifiers? Yes. Illegal modifier for the class application. Only public, abstract, final are allowed. Illegal modifier. Okay. Suppose if I am going for a variable private integer I, can I declare like this? Integer I is equal to 10. And what it is saying now? Illegal modifier. So this private, public and all, they are calling as modifiers. For example, if I take it as static, if I take it as a static, then what is saying? Illegal modifier. So the specifiers, modifiers are almost same. Modifiers and specifiers are almost same. So whatever this modifiers we are writing, public, private, protected, this is static, abstract, final keywords. All these keywords that are comes under either access specifier or access modifiers, right? So you need to say the difference between specifiers and modifiers, both are almost same. Specifiers are modifiers, those are keywords that we are using in the Java, like public, private, protected, default, then static, final, abstract. These all are the keywords that we are going to use at the class level. Those are all called as specifiers or modifiers, right? Public, default. Default, we don't write it, but if we don't write anything, then it will become by default as default. Fine, good. Yeah, you can sit down. Fine.